Welcome to this week's What's for Dinner video. My name is Ashley. I'm going to be showing you 3 different meals I made this past week. I don't always follow recipes exactly, but if you're interested, I've linked some similar recipes down below. The first dinner I'm going to be showing you, I made some homemade chili. I've only made chili myself about 2 or 3 times, so I'm really trying to perfect a recipe. I'm just starting out with my ground beef. I have about a pound of ground beef that I'm just going to cook up in my large pot, and this is where I'll cook all my chili. I'm planning on making this chili a couple times in other soups this fall and winter, so be aware I will probably have this again. Next, I'm just going to begin seasoning my beef after I drained the grease. So I'm just using some chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder, and some Cajun seasoning. Again, I don't follow any recipe for this chili or really any other meal that I make, but I am going to start kind of figuring out what I like in chili. That way I can recreate it. Next, I'm just going to add in some tomato sauce, and this is something that I've seen a couple people do and add in some like mild salsa to give the chili a little bit more of a salsa flavor, and I absolutely loved it. I forgot to add this when I was cooking the ground beef, but next I'm just going to add in some diced up yellow onion that I did. I'm just going to keep adding as much salsa as I like. Next, I'm going to add in my beans, so I'm just going to add 1 can of kidney beans and 1 can of pinto beans. And of course, I'm going to season basically every layer. Next, I'm going to begin adding in all my liquid. Instead of using broth, I'm just going to use water and then use bouillon. So I think I actually added about 4 cups of water total. I wanted a lot of liquid because you'll see at the end how I make this chili nice and thick. Next, I'm going to add in my bouillon powder. I did a mixture of chicken bouillon and beef bouillon. Then of course I'm going to season the soup with all the same seasonings. I am using chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, and a little bit of Cajun seasoning. I actually made this as soon as I got home from work, that way this would simmer for about an hour just like this while I showered and got cleaned up. Next, I'm going to add in my cornstarch slurry, and this is key to basically everything for me. Cornstarch slurry is just equal parts cornstarch and cold water, and this is just a great thickener for soups and stews, gravies. So I just added in all my cornstarch slurry, and then also to note, once this cools, it will also thicken as well. I like really thick chilies in soups. I like to be able to eat things with like chips. Not a huge fan of watery soups. At this point, you can definitely taste test everything and add whatever else you think is needed, adding just a little bit more bouillon. This is truly the best chili I've ever made. How everything looked when it was done, I just topped it with some onion, cheese, and avocado. 10 out of 10. I was so happy about this. The next dinner, I really based this meal off the mashed potatoes. I was really wanting some homemade mashed potatoes and gravy, so that's where I started. So I'm just going to start off with my potatoes. I'm using some gold potatoes. I'm just going to cut those up into small little pieces and keep the skin on. Mashed potatoes are that one thing that just remind you of fall and winter and Thanksgiving. They're just so comforting. So once I finished cutting up the potatoes, I just washed them and then put them in this pot with some water, brought it to a boil, and just am letting these cook. So I didn't want to do too much work because potatoes do take quite a bit of effort. So I'm just going to make some grilled chicken. I didn't feel like frying anything. I'm just going to cut up some chicken breasts into small bite-sized pieces and grill them up. I was done cutting the chicken. The potatoes were just about ready to mash. I'm going to work on those first, that way the chicken could be nice and fresh when we eat. I just drained my potatoes. Next, I'm just going to work on mashing them. I'm just using this potato masher. I do have a handheld mixer, but I don't like to pull that out all the time. I'm just going to add some basic ingredients. I'm adding some milk, butter, sour cream, kind of mixing it all together and seeing what else that I need. If I was making like Thanksgiving mashed potatoes for everyone, I would probably use heavy cream over milk, but for just a quick dinner, milk works fine. Once the potatoes were done, I just set them back on the burner to keep warm while I worked on the chicken. To my pan, I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil and let that heat up and add in my chicken. You know I'm a heavy seasoner, so I'm going to season this chicken with some Montreal chicken seasoning, smoked paprika for some color, and some Cajun seasoning. I just have my pan set on medium high, and I'm just going to cook this chicken until it is all the way cooked through. Now obviously this is not the most exciting chicken dish, but eating this with mashed potatoes works fine for me. So this is how everything looked when it was done. I just served it with a side salad and a slice of garlic bread for my husband. It was a pretty good weeknight meal. The last dinner I'm going to be showing you is a meal I made because I did not defrost any meat. Real life. I'm not complaining though, because rarely do we ever make breakfast. Actually, on the weekends, we're all just kind of running around. So I was pretty excited to make some pancakes. I love pancakes. I always just have the big blue pancake bag from Costco. I think it's Krusteaz or something like that. That's what I always use. It works fine for me. So I just like to mix that together, and I like really thick batter. So I'm just going to cook my pancakes on my pan. I do have like a griddle, but it's fine. We're only just going to make a couple of these. So I'm just going to spray my pan with some cooking spray and add in a small spoonful of the pancake batter. And you know the key to good pancakes is just to flip it once. I just went ahead and cooked up a handful of these pancakes. I like to set them on a plate with some foil on top just to keep them nice and warm. So once I finish with the pancakes, I just set those all aside, and then in the same pan, I'm going to cook up the bacon. I'm not doing any eggs today. We're just gonna disregard the eggs. So I'm just gonna cook 4 bacon strips at once and then do the other batch. These came out kind of weird. I'm not really sure. Either way, it's bacon and my husband ate it. So once the bacon was done, the hash browns were ready to come out of the oven and everything was ready to go. This is how everything looked when it was done. So good. I'm a huge fan of breakfast for dinner. Thank you so much for watching this week's What's for Dinner video. Make sure you come back next week for another one.